Welcome to the Print on Demand Report, where we're breaking down the real numbers that matter to creators, entrepreneurs, and anyone thinking about starting an online business. If you've ever wondered whether print on demand is actually profitable or just another online business myth, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into actual data, real revenue figures, and the truth about what it takes to succeed in this space. Print on demand has exploded over the past 5 years, transforming from a niche service into a multi-billion-dollar industry. But here's the thing that most people don't talk about. While the industry is massive, individual earnings vary dramatically. Let's start with the fundamentals. Print on demand means you design a product, list it online, and only when someone buys it do you actually print and ship it. You never hold inventory. You never pay up front. This model has democratized entrepreneurship in ways we've never seen before. According to recent market research, the global print-on-demand market was valued at approximately $3.2 billion in 2023, and it's projected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of nearly 9% through 2030. That's significant expansion, but it also tells us something important. There's real money being made here. However, the distribution is far from equal. A study analyzing over 50,000 print-on-demand sellers revealed that roughly 70% of sellers make less than $500 per year. Let that sink in. 7 out of every 10 people trying this are barely breaking even or running at a loss. But 20% make between $500 and $5,000 annually. And here's where it gets interesting. The remaining 10%, those who have figured out the system, are generating between $5,000 and $100,000 per year or more. Some top performers are making 6 figures. So what's the difference between someone making nothing and someone making a 6-figure income from the same platform? The answer comes down to 3 critical factors: product selection, marketing strategy, and design quality. Let's look at product performance data. T-shirts and hoodies remain the most popular items, accounting for approximately 45% of all print-on-demand sales. But here's the surprise. They also have the lowest profit margins. The average t-shirt sells for between $18 and $35, but your production and platform costs eat up 60 to 70% of that. If you're selling a $25 shirt, you're keeping maybe $7 to $10. Mugs and tumblers, by contrast, have much healthier margins. They typically sell for $20 to $40, with your cut being $12 to $18 per unit. Hoodies and sweatshirts fall somewhere in between, with decent margins if you price them right. The real outliers are specialty items. Phone cases, custom Kansas prints, and personalized items can generate margins of 30 to 50% when positioned correctly and marketed to the right audience. Now let's talk about the platforms themselves. Printful, Merch by Amazon, Teespring, and Etsy dominate the space. Merch by Amazon is interesting because it has the lowest barrier to entry and the largest built-in customer base. But you need an invitation to join, and you're competing with enormous volume. Data shows that sellers on Merch by Amazon who are in the top tier make an average of $2,000 to $5,000 per month. That's roughly $200,000 to $300,000 annually for the highest performers. These aren't outliers. They're people who understood the algorithm and optimized their strategy. Etsy sellers running print-on-demand shops show a different pattern. The median successful shop generates between $1,000 and $3,000 monthly, but it requires significant marketing investment. Most successful Etsy print-on-demand shops spend 30 to 50% of their revenue on advertising to maintain visibility. When we look at Shopify, the story changes again. Shopify sellers have complete control over their brand and pricing, which means higher potential margins. But they also bear all the marketing burden themselves. The data here is less clear because Shopify doesn't publish seller earnings. But surveys of successful Shopify print-on-demand stores suggest that 6-figure annual revenues are achievable. But they require consistent marketing spend of at least 20% of revenue, and often much higher, especially in the first year. Let's talk about the seasonal factor that most beginners miss. Print-on-demand revenue is heavily seasonal. Around 70% of annual revenue for most sellers is concentrated in the 4 months from September through December. This is the holiday season, back-to-school period, and gift-giving time. Understanding this means successful sellers are building cash reserves during peak months to sustain their operations during slower periods. January through August is a grind. Many sellers report revenue drops of 50 to 70% during these months. This is why so many people fail at print on demand. They launch in January, don't see results by March, and give up before reaching the profitable months. Time in market matters enormously. The data is clear. Sellers who've been running their shops for 2 years or more have an 85% higher average revenue than first-year sellers. This suggests that success requires persistence, learning, optimization, and building an audience over time. Let's address the marketing question directly, because this is where most failures occur. The sellers making real money spend significantly on paid advertising. Facebook and Instagram ads are the most common channels, with successful sellers spending between $500 and $2,000 monthly on ad campaigns. Google Shopping is another major channel, particularly for established brands. The rule of thumb among top performers is that they maintain a 3-to-1 or better return on ad spend. If they're spending $100 on ads, they're generating at least $300 in revenue from those ads. Beginners often try to do print on demand with zero marketing budget, expecting organic sales to carry them. This almost never works. The successful approach is to invest in learning, start with small test campaigns, measure everything, and scale what works. This requires capital. Most successful sellers invested at least $2,000 to $5,000 before seeing positive returns. Time investment matters just as much as money. Successful print-on-demand entrepreneurs spend 10 to 20 hours per week on their business, at least in the early stages. This includes design creation, product research, marketing management, and customer service. This isn't passive income, it's active entrepreneurship. Here's what the data tells us about design. The most successful designs are niche-specific, solving a problem or speaking to a specific identity. Broad, generic designs perform poorly. Designs targeting specific professions, hobbies, or communities outperform general designs by 3 to 5 times. A design that says something generic might get viewed by thousands, but convert at 0.1%. A highly niche design might get viewed by hundreds, but convert at 2 to 3%. The numbers work out dramatically differently. Design quality also matters enormously. Professional, high-resolution designs with good typography and strategic use of color significantly outperform amateur designs. Many successful sellers invest in professional designers, spending $50 to $300 per design. At first, this seems like a lot, but if that design generates thousands in revenue, it's a sound investment. Let's talk about customer acquisition cost, because this is the real limiting factor for most sellers. The average customer acquisition cost in print on demand is between $5 and $15. This means you need to generate at least $15 to $20 in customer lifetime value to make the math work. For most print-on-demand shops, customers make 1 or 2 purchases and never return. This means your entire profit needs to come from that initial sale. This is why building an email list and creating repeat customer strategies is so important. Sellers who successfully implement loyalty programs, email marketing, and customer retention strategies see customer lifetime values double or triple. These sellers are also the ones making significant money. Finally, let's look at realistic expectations. If you're willing to invest money in marketing, learn constantly, optimize based on data, and commit to 2 years of building, you can reasonably expect to generate between $20,000 and $50,000 in annual revenue. That's realistic for someone treating this seriously. If you're exceptional at design, marketing, or already have an audience, 6 figures is achievable. But if you're expecting to make money with zero marketing budget and minimal effort, the data is clear. You'll likely be in that 70% making less than $500. The print-on-demand market is real, the money is real, and the opportunities are real, but so are the challenges. Success requires strategy, investment, persistence, and willingness to learn and adapt based on what the data shows you. That's the real story behind print on demand.